How's it going, guys? Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm sitting here with Trevor and Danny, and we started getting into a heated debate, and we decided, no, that'd be a good one for the podcast, so I'm going to go ahead and get it started. Does money buy happiness?
Yes.
So quick.
And that's the end of our podcast.
Yeah, fuck you guys. No. But no, the real question, does money bring happiness, buy happiness, whatever you want to call it? And you guys both seem to think that it does. And I'm complete opposite of that. I don't think it does. But I have my own reasons. But first, I want to know why you guys think it does. So, Trevor, start us off.
Well, I just don't see how it couldn't buy happiness. I mean, if you factor in not having to pay for any sort of bills, you can be able to go wherever you want, basically, whenever you want. You play by your own rules.
Are we saying that infinite amount of money buys happiness?
Like balling out of control.
All right, well, give me a number.
Okay, so let's say if you just $1 million, would that bring you true happiness, and you would be happy for the rest of your life?
Is it $1 million a year? Or
it's $1 million. You just woke up one morning, there was a briefcase of $1 million. Are you just automatically happier?
Oh, instantly.
But for how long?
That's the ultimate question.
So is it true happiness, or is it just happiness for a moment?
I wouldn't say a moment.
Because, when I get a taco from Taco Bell, I'm happy that I'm not going to sit there and say it brought me happiness.
Well, we can't compare Taco Bell tacos to $1 million.
I mean, some could.
If you're super drunk at 4 a.m., those Taco Bell tacos
that
are
meal.
worth $1 million.
Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep telling your side.
As long as you're decently smart with $1 million that's just given to you, it should be able to buy you and possibly a generation, at least one generation's worth of happiness.
So there's a study behind this, and I heard about it on a podcast the other day. And it's this study that got done. Princeton University's Woodrow Wilson School did a study where they said people say money doesn't buy happiness, but it sort of does, up to about $75,000 a year. The lower a person's annual income falls below that benchmark, the unhappier he or she feels. But no matter how much more than 75,000 people make, they don't report any greater degree of happiness.
So there's a line.
That's a study. There's a line. There's a benchmark.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Well, I'm gonna go with Trev's. So you were saying that you could, depending on how you work with your money and you didn't waste it all, blow it on a car or something like that, you would
That's one nice car.
Hey, shit. Talk to people that have money. They got a lot of nice cars. You're saying that with that money, you could sustain that happiness going on forward. My point is, even if you were to try to sustain that happiness, eventually it doesn't become happiness. It's just way of life. So you're still going to go through struggles, and you're still going to find different types of stress. So yeah, your lifestyle might have changed to a certain way of life, but your stress is just going to change with it. So yeah, cool. Now you're going from driving a Honda Civic to driving a BMW. But now your stress is, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have went out to dinner and blown that $5,000 on the VIP room. And now I got to sit there and pay off this credit card. Like, your stress level just changes to a different level of stress. Like, yeah, you can pay off your bills, but your lifestyle also changes with that. So you're not going to have that happiness for the rest of your life. Unless you're one of those people that somehow puts away that millions of dollars and doesn't change your life at all. And it's just sitting there. But then... Does that make you happy? You're still in the same spot.
What if you factor it to where you only get $75,000 of it each year?
That wouldn't be enough. Not if you knew you had millions of dollars sitting there. You'd go insane.
That's not millions, though. It's $1 million.
But is it realistic? I mean, the way we've all gone through this. We've all got raises. Our style of life changes as you get more money. I mean, you get a raise, you go and buy yourself a TV, and then boom, your raise just disappeared because you just spent it on this TV and you're paying it on a freaking Best Buy card. Like,
that's true.
Just the more money you have doesn't automatically mean that you're happy. It just means you're happy for a moment.
Yeah, but if you have a nice TV, how are you not happy each time you watch that television? Let's say you had a 20-inch and you upgrade to a 65-inch. I mean, you're going to be a lot happier.
I understand your point. You're going to be happy. But I think we have to define what happiness is then, if you're going to use this as a term money's going to buy you this happiness.
I think the biggest thing about money buying happiness is it takes away stress. I think that's the biggest thing. I think if you don't have the stress of worrying about bills, you don't have the stress of worrying about your car payment, things like that. If you could just pay for everything without having to worry about, it doesn't have to be balling out of control and making $1 million and buying private jets and all that kind of stuff. But if you just had enough to live comfortably, I think that's where the money buys happiness thing comes from. And that's where I think that 75,000 is like the benchmark. Because
Okay.
above that, there's no noticeable gains, right? Because if you start having a bajillion dollars, you're going to have to pay for security to help protect you because people are going to want to take that shit.
Bill
Okay.
Gates.
I can see that. I can
Johnny
see where
Depp.
obviously stress is a big part of it. I mean, that's probably most of all of our issues is with stress, because with stress puts stress on other people around you because they feel it and stuff. But you really think that stress is the financial stress is the only thing that is keeping you from being truly happy? What about relationship stress? I mean, that just money has nothing to do with your relationship. Maybe when you're deeper into like a family, yeah, it stresses you out, but there's other things that play into factor, and like the fact that you're talking to some other girl that has nothing to do with money that could bring stress onto your relationship. That's not going to make you happy, and money's not going to get you out of that situation. You're not going to be able to pay your wife off and be like, oh, here's a couple grand, don't think about this. So there's other types of happiness out there, and I think that's why people say money doesn't buy you happiness, because there's other decisions you can make in life that affect that happiness.
I feel like Kobe and his wife would disagree with that because money clearly can buy you happiness.
It buys you a big fat ring as I'm sorry.
But that's not, see, and that's where I sit here and say you have to define what happiness actually is. There's artificial happiness and there's true happiness.
They're
So
still together, aren't they?
But are they happy, or are they just happy because they're together for their kids? I mean, that's a whole different situation.
Well, we're not ones to judge it because that's
Exactly. So you can't sit there and say you're going to judge them and say they're happy. You
I'm
don't
not,
know.
I'm not judging them. I'm just saying I'm throwing a point out there.
You're throwing a point out there, but like you said, we don't know. So my whole point is money cannot buy you happiness because there's so much that gets involved with happiness.
I feel like the problem is that there's no way to define it, so it can't be a definition, like a definite point that money definitely can buy you happiness because there's no degree of happiness that we can define.
Which means I win.
Happiness is subjective, and I think that there are poor people that can be happy with no money, and I'm not one of them. But there are also people that you can be rich and not be happy, but there are also people that are rich who are happy and people who are poor who are happy. Although, to kind of side with Noel for 1 second, if you look back at like religion, always the saints, the happy people, the holy people, they're always poor as hell.
Well, and it comes to a point where when you have less, you start to appreciate more. And that's the whole thing behind it. You start getting too much money. Look at Money Mayweather. That guy is the definition of having too much money and still screwing up. Like,
Yeah!
he may look happy, but I'm pretty sure that guy's gone through some shit.
Oh, we know he has. He's also put his significant others through some shit.
Well, yeah, the flip side, Conor McGregor is somebody who's just got into this newfound money and who seems pretty freaking happy. I mean,
does.
But he also came from not having anything at all. So
Yeah, the appreciation factor. I guess what you could say then is there's a wear-off time. There's a period of like, okay, well, now I'm used to living like this, so now this becomes the new poor.
I think that's where it factors into where money can't buy happiness because eventually, like Noel was saying, it wears off.
it definitely
There's
does.
that point where you're just like, I want more. I mean, it's almost human nature.
It is human nature,
to want more than you have. That's why we're always judging people because like, oh, I really want that because this person has it. I mean,
Grass is always greener on the other side.
And so that's what plays into it, and that's why I was so against this. And I'm sitting here like, I went from having a decent job and only being able to afford certain things to where I get a raise, and boom, now I can start even nicer things. But my lifestyle just completely shifted. Now I'm paying for more stuff now, and I'm getting more things. So that stress of the bills is still there. It's just more bills now. So it's like, cool, I got more money, but shit, now I got more bills. And so now I need even a better job. And like you guys said, you just got to progressively have to push for more and push for more. So even if you were to have an infinite amount, or maybe not, that might be the ultimate goal, is infinite amount of money, which I don't know if that's even possible. If you're playing Monopoly, maybe.
Yeah, well, you see it. You do see it in like the super rich people and like the super elite people. They kind of look almost like glazed over, like kind of bored. Like nothing excites them anymore. Like we get super pumped, like if we hit, a $100 jackpot on a lotto machine, on a slot machine, or like your team wins. Like how exciting is that? Could you imagine if like you? I guess, let's see, what am I going to do today? Well, I bought 3 cars yesterday, and
right.
I've had 4 supermodels, in my bedroom on my yacht. Like what you can't go out. Like, what are you going to do? Like, if you're a rich person,
God,
and
that
you're
all
just,
sounds so horrible.
I know, but like, to them, that's eating bacon and eggs in the morning at the local diner. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
nothing. It's nothing to them. And I think money actually only truly buys happiness for the middle ground. I don't think it buys it for the rich ass people.
Yeah, I mean, it's the people that get born into it. I mean, that's what always gets me is you don't know if they're getting that actual appreciation of, because to them that's just life. So yeah, maybe they may go through a rough patch where it all gets taken away from them, and they probably they have to hit rock bottom and work their way back up. That you can appreciate, but somebody that just got born into it and all of a sudden woke up or was born into millions and millions of dollars, it's like, how do you know that they even appreciate it or even realize that lifestyle that they're doing is not a normal lifestyle? I mean, to me, it's just, it doesn't make sense. Like, you look at the Trump family, and it's like his whole family has been born into this $1 million franchise.
And we're perfect. We're perfect because of it.
Exactly. And
my kids are going to be huge.
And I think that's where most of the resentment comes from, is not all of us were that lucky or to be even in that lifestyle, you know?
I mean, just like Dan was saying, the grass is always greener. I mean, if you were born into money, you're not going to have that appreciation for it, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have money and gained money to where you don't have to worry about anything, of course, you're going to be happier because you knew what it was like. So that's where I think the part of money buys happiness. If you came from nothing to get to that, you're going to be a lot happier a lot longer, I would say, just because you know what it's like. But if you had money, then lost money, I mean, that person's probably going to commit suicide because there's no way that they don't know what it's like to live.
Yeah, that's true.
We talked about that in a podcast. Remember I said, like, the vast majority of people, it's like that middle-aged white male that was, a hedge fund manager who had a lot of money, and then all of a sudden what he was doing in the stock market went down. Those are the people that have the highest propensity for suicide.
I mean,
that whole thing.
I think that's my biggest point is you don't want to rely your happiness on something that can be so easily taken away.
Something tangible.
Something
like that,
tangible, exactly. And that's my biggest thing when I hear people say, oh, happiness, if I just had all this money, I'd be so happy. Like, yeah, it sounds great, but if you're literally putting all of your happiness into something that is paper, it's a fiction. Like,
it is a fiction.
It's gonna be something we talk about, but a fiction, something that's just make-believe, like Monopoly money, then yeah, you're going to live a poor life, regardless of how much money you have, because you're putting your ideals into something that is not real as people want it to be. It's just not. But I do have a question. If you were to get $1 million, what would you do with it instantly? What's the first thing that pops into your head? Trev, go.
First thing...
Nope, you already thought too long. No, okay,
I buy a pretty decent size house.
Decent size house? What's a decent size house to you?
Less than 500,000. How about that?
Okay. Well, depending on the area, you got to specifics. 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom.
Well, I have 2 kids,
so definitely
so like minimum of 3 bedrooms. I would love a 4 or 5 bedroom because I want to have like a man cave,
a podcast studio. Obviously.
Yes, of course.
That's part of the man cave. I mean, then I got to buy like all this like superhero merchandise to go inside the house. Obviously you want to upgrade your car. I mean, this is all the generic things.
All the stuff you already have, but you want to just be a little bit better.
I mean, come on.
Okay.
I mean, we just talked about this. The more money you get, the more things that you're going to want to get. I mean, it's all about upgrading. It's all about getting better things.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I hear you. Go ahead, Danny.
First thing I'm doing is I'm buying a house. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be a little 2-bedroom. It could be something really small. It's going to be awesome. It'll be a home base, and then I would buy a camper van, and I would go travel.
You buy a house and never be there.
That would be the home base.
Home.
That's where the mail goes. That's where Jeeves, my butler, is going to be living.
Jeeves. Are you going to make him wear a shirt that says "Ask" on it? Just Ask Jeeves.
Yes,
everything.
Everything. But yeah, I'd travel around. I'd go to like national parks, go live in my van. I'm sure Jackie would be on board with that. I think she would.
Yeah. She's allowed to come too.
Yes, I guess I'll let her.
How big is this van?
It's a pretty good size one. I have to be able to stand up in it. It's gonna be like one of those
Why a van? Why not like a
vans?
like RV, like camper
too big, too bulky, too much gas mileage. I don't want that. It's too much of an expense. You got to empty the thing out. All the shit and all that. Literally. Like, you know what I mean? It's just it's too big. It's too bulky. You can't get it all the places you want to go. I could take like a Sprinter van and get a lot of places.
I like seeing those videos of people that like convert vans into like half of it's like a little mini house.
Yep.
And then the rest of it.
That's what it would be. Yeah.
Really
Dude, like Travis Burke, he's got a badass one. Goal Zero on YouTube. They have like a whole like 5 or 6 videos on people that have turned vans and buses into like living quarters, and they actually live in them. It's pretty crazy.
Very cool lifestyle for sure.
That would that'd be my $1 million. That's what I would do, and I could make $1 million last for a while. I think.
Oh yeah, when you're living off the land.
Yeah.
No.
Me? Oh man, I don't know. Obviously, I'm like you guys. I'd want to upgrade a bunch of stuff. I would probably, for sure, buy Megan a car something cool, and then just drive the shit out of it because you would never try.
You gonna get one with the doors that lift up? You gonna get one of
Lambo
the
doors? Oh, dude. Yeah, no, car for sure. The first thing, because I mean, I don't know. There's just nothing cooler than seeing somebody come out of a really cool car. It's like that James Bond complex I have. Is like I just always want to go somewhere in a suit and come out of a really cool car.
Just
could be anywhere.
Driving around an Aston Martin, just stepping out.
You're gonna go to Taco Bell and just pull out a full suit.
I'll have my fourth meal.
No, with $1 million, I mean, there's really nothing super cool you could do with $1 million. Like you can't like buy like an NFL team or anything. Like can't even buy like a seat.
You could buy a piece of it.
That's the thing too. $1 million is like this day and age. It's not even. It's not even that much anymore.
I would probably.
I would still take it in a heartbeat though.
Yeah.
If it was,
I take $20.
So let's just say it was $1 million. You couldn't like invest. You just have to spend it. Like they're like, all right, you got 6 months. You got this $1 million, and it's gonna be gone, regardless if you use it or not. I would make the most epic golf trip of my life. Ooh. I would go to like every hotspot golf
Augusta
spot.
National, Pebble Beach.
Yeah, and then like Ireland and stuff like that.
Go play Carnoustie.
Yeah,
and,
you know, like that's what I would want to do. Me and Megan, we would just go on a crazy vacation, fly everywhere, take our clubs with us, and just hit the most beautiful courses on the world.
You need so much chicken and waffles.
So much chicken and waffles.
It'd be cool because you could almost.
We would bring Danny's Jeeves with us because I feel bad that he's stuck at home with no one.
Who's gonna take care of my house and my mail now?
Yeah, well, sorry.
Here.
My million, not yours.
You almost buy the course for the day, so nobody's behind you, nobody's in front of you. That'd be the ultimate.
That's baller.
I just I don't even know if I would need that. Just the fact to be able to go see all these amazing courses would be something. That'd be my ultimate goal for me.
What if there's a threesome in front of you that's taking forever?
I would pay them off and tell them it's a wait on the side. I would hope at that point I wouldn't even care. We would just be there to more enjoy
No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter.
Yeah. You're right. It gets you pissy. Slow pay drives me nuts. But yeah, that's definitely where I would land it. I mean, just crazy because I never really took vacations when I was little. Just not something I did. It was I don't know why. My parents just worked way too freaking much. Yeah. And so when it came to vacations, it was literally let's go see family. So we'd go to like LA, and that was our vacation was going to LA and seeing family, and it'd be on a weekend. It wasn't like a week long thing where families do that now. I would never.
And travel's like the one thing that's priceless because it's an experience. Anytime you have an experience, I think that's better than things. In all honesty, like you might have to buy things to get those experiences. You know, like I'd have to buy my little camper van to actually go to all these places and enjoy them, but. I feel like experiences are cool. Like when you go to a baseball game or you go to like a football game, like the experience, it's the sights, the sounds, the smells, all that. Like it's an experience. It's something that's so much more memorable than things.
You know, just to track back into the whole money buying you happiness thing, Danny, when you made that trip, because you did that 30 days?
Just 30 days.
30-day trip. You got in your car and you just took off and did the whole national parks and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
How much money did you end up actually needing to do that? And how happy were you? Happiness level 0 to 100.
Oh, it was easily 200 on the scale of 0 to 100. It was a blast, but I mean, it was like I was just camping and it basically just paid for gas money. It was like 6,200 miles. And then just paying for campgrounds. I think ahead of time, I probably put $400 in ahead of time to get some reservations that I needed, some passes, some permits, and to buy the National Parks Pass. And then I think gas-wise, I know I spent under $1,000 for the whole thing. So
this is doing it with money. You could have done this with less.
I could have done it way cheaper because I did eat out a few times, like when I was exhausted. You know what I mean? I did that.
And I'm sure you ran into people that were doing it with less.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I could, like, if I was like, okay, I'm going to make this hard on myself and I'm only going to spend gas money, I'm going to cook all my own food, which I did for like 20 of the 30 days or 25 of the 30 days. You could have spent like next to nothing. It's so cheap. And then you go to the campgrounds that are cheaper. You don't go to the expensive ones, you know, and you don't go across the border and go into Canada and enjoy your time in Canada by, you know, buying beer or stuff like that.
So when you're meeting these other people that are doing the kind of same thing you are, that live in that same lifestyle, they're doing it with less, do they seem less happy, more happy?
No. Everyone's on the same level. If anything, they're probably happier because they're getting to do it longer. The vast majority of people that do traveling and trips and that sort of thing like that, where they're living on the road, like vagabonding type stuff and wanderlust and all that stuff, they're actually doing it as cheaply as possible because they're thinking, okay, I can take twice as long of a vacation, or I can take 2 or 3 vacations instead of taking one expensive one. And that's like what me and Jackie did in Hawaii. Like we went to Hawaii, we did that for under $1,000 for a month in Hawaii. And like I remember telling this guy I worked with, and he was like, dude, I spent $3,000 in 4 days when I stayed in Oahu. And I was like, dude, that's insane. Like, I couldn't imagine. That's 3 vacations. You know what I mean?
That's, it's crazy.
It was insane. Like, we really, like, we spent like $400 for airfare and then another $500 or so to be there. And we splurged at the end, like the last 4 or 5 days. We were splurging.
We were so good those last couple of days. Let's just go crazy.
Yeah, we did. Like, we were like, you know what? We're not coming back here for a while. Let's go do this. You know?
Let's eat out tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's see. That's just crazy to me, is because we were sitting here at the beginning of this podcast and like, oh man, money would be so crazy. They would make me so happy. But we've all still done things in our lives that brought us that same amount of happiness, and we really didn't need that much money to do it. We're sitting there saying you spent $500 or $1,000 on a full trip, 30 days or a month in Hawaii, but you didn't need that $1 million showing up in front of your house to do all of that, and you were just as happy. I said 0 out of 100, and your first answer was 200. I mean, how much happier do you need to be than that? Trev, I mean, for you with your family, are you guys, I mean, when you and your parents, you guys traveled a little bit. I know you guys went on vacations here and there. Are you still going to try to do that same thing with your kids in your guys' situation now? I mean, I don't know how tight you guys are on money, but is that still something you guys are going to try to do? I
mean, it's definitely a game plan, without doubt. I mean, we're definitely going to wait a little bit until Alex is a little bit older so we can all experience and not have to worry about, a toddler. I mean, that kind of negates the fun factor, I guess you could say. I mean,
and he'll remember. He'll remember it a lot better too.
He hears this. What do you mean it wasn't fun?
No, I'm not saying that he's not fun. It's just it's more stress. It's less that we can do. I mean,
it's like taking a toddler to the movies. It's just not.
It's just like going to Disneyland with a toddler. It's like they get to experience it, but we can't go on a ride.
And they're tired. like they take way more steps than we do.
Very true. And I'm not gonna carry him. I mean, my God, I'm tired too.
Iris, carry him.
So I mean, obviously, like the biggest vacation that I took with my parents when I was a kid, we went to Spain for a week. I mean, that's
badass.
I mean, that was just the craziest adventure, I guess you could say, that I've had to do. And it was just, the language barrier alone was just the craziest factor. My dad and I, we went to a crocodile museum. It was like where they had live crocodiles. They had the 3rd largest captivity crocodile in the world there. It was a 20-minute drive, but it took us 3 hours to get there because there was no street signs. We took a wrong exit, got on a freeway, head the wrong way. We had to pay a toll booth. It was just like the craziest adventure that we have ever took. And the best part was before we even got there. And so that's part of what Danny was saying. It's not about, the destination. It's the journey to it.
And that's that whole experiences thing. It costs money to travel, so money is important, but it's the experience of it. Like, it just sticks with you.
Experience is what takes it from the 0 to the 100.
Yeah, and like I can remember, like I could almost walk through each day of like that trip. Like if I just sit and think, I can go, okay, I know what I was doing at this time of that day, and I can do the same thing for when I went to Italy and France. Like I can remember those things, and I can remember. It was years ago. I was 17, and I can remember going there and like what we did each day and all that kind of stuff. But don't ask me what I did yesterday. I can't remember a dang thing.
I think that's what's crazy about it, is like you guys are saying, the experience part of it. But for us, we're lucky. We have the luxury of being able to create these experiences because of the jobs that we have and stuff like that. But we also have that mindset of we don't rely on that money for our happiness. We all have our own ways of finding that that happiness, that experience to get us to that level.
Yeah, and that kind of plays back on that fact I mentioned earlier, that 75,000 thing. I was reading that article on from Time Magazine, and they were saying that they analyzed 450,000 people for this. So it's a big pool of people that they did, and it was that's a lot. 450,000. I mean, most polls are like, oh, we did 1,000 people,
Not
they
male daily
they got into this,
Facebook.
And they found that most Americans, 85%, regardless of their annual income, felt happy each day. So no matter if they were rich, poor, whatever, they were 85%. There were about 40% that felt stress, and most of that says 24%.
Just 40?
Yeah, and 24% of that said that had to do with money. And they said so where that came into effect is they found a lot of divorced people found that they made a lot less money prior to their divorce, that sort of thing. And so that was kind of what led to it. So that could factor into the happiness thing. But they said that at 75,000, when they started pulling people and asked them what they made and like where their happiness levels were, at 75,000 was like a major drop off.
I wonder
like
how much
people were happy at that point.
How much do you think money plays into the factor of relationships?
I think it's a big deal.
I mean, almost to the older you get, definitely, right?
Well, when you have more responsibility, right? If you've got a family to provide for and things like that.
I could imagine, like, I mean, I'm just bullshitting here, but so let's say you and I are split up. If that was to happen,
I'm gonna be poor.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Well, because just the alimony, then the child support.
Well, yeah, that's not exactly where I was going. But
Well, that's where I'm headed.
yeah, no. Well, I'm just saying. So if you get back into the dating game, you have to. Maybe it's a bit of a better question for Iris, because I mean, it depends on who has the kids. Let's say, okay, you guys get divorced, you have the kids. I'm creating a scenario. You have the kids. You're looking for somebody. Fucking Trevor. You're looking for somebody to be part of your life now, a new person. And do you factor in income at that point? Because you got a family that you got to help support? Or I guess it really doesn't really work for the guy, because the guy is.
You're looking for that sugar mama?
Yeah,
looking for that sugar mama? She
kinda
could be 75, but she got money.
Funny story.
Does that factor? I mean, obviously, there's the whole gold digger thing, but are you looking for a sugar mama? Does that play into it? Like, she's a 6, but she drives a BMW.
That makes her a 9.
Sounds horrible to say. You probably shouldn't answer this, but I'm curious.
Well, funny story. Just quick. I remember one day my mom was driving me to school when I was a sophomore in high school. Noel, you were in the car for this. And my mom said, "You should definitely be a gold digger and find the rich woman."
I do remember that. Judy is a just smart woman.
And those were wise words that I did not take into account.
Megan, you didn't hear nothing.
Clearly, she was talking to Noel, not me.
I just listened really
That's
well.
so funny, though. Would you put up with that? Like, okay, so you're like, all right, she's 92, and I'm in the prime of my life. I'm 27, 28. I'm in the prime of my life. Could I put up with it for a few years? Could I put up with marrying like a 90-something-year-old person for money? Like,
Anna Nicole Smith did.
Well, yeah, but as a guy, and we already know girls do it. With that girl, that's like a thing, the gold digger thing and all that. That's like girls do that with older guys.
So do guys.
Yeah,
too.
well, let's be
But
fair.
it's a lot more rare.
No, hold on. I see what you're getting at, Trev, but I think we're going about it the wrong way. There's also men that specifically look for girls that want them for their money, and they're okay with it.
Yeah.
So it's not so much the girl looking for the guy.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's very mutual.
There's a bigger pool, let's just say that,
Yes.
because the guys are very interested as well.
I mean, look at the girl that sold her virginity on eBay
Holy
to the
crap,
highest bidder.
Yes.
She knew what she was getting into, and the guy knew exactly why she wanted it, but he was cool with paying it. I think she sold for like millions
Yeah.
for the virginity.
Wise investment.
Yo, yeah, shit, dude. I mean, not that I would tell my daughter at some point to go for it, but if the opportunity came up and she was all for it, I don't know if I'd be able to be like, nah, fuck that.
That rolls into that whole conversation. How much money would it take for you?
Dude. So man, we're getting so off track, and I
No,
want to keep
it's
talking
all
about
money.
this.
It's all money.
But back to the relationship thing really quick. Danny, do you factor that into, like, let's say Jackie just tomorrow said, nope, I'm not working anymore. Would you factor that into your guys' relationship? Been like, was that?
It would put I think it would put a strain on anyone's relationship if you started the relationship being codependent on each other, and then all of a sudden that person becomes a different person. I don't even think that's a money question.
Would it get to the point where you would just be like, nah, this isn't what I signed up for?
See, that's a tough one.
Well, yeah, because she's listening. No, I'm just kidding.
She's got a 45 pointing at me right now. Yeah. She got sniper. Where's this red dot?
Is it hot in here?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, but I think if someone started becoming a different person like that, or if they just like, you know what, you're going to support me now, and that wasn't what you got into the relationship based on, I think that would put a huge strain on it, and it could end a relationship if that happened.
I see what you're getting at. So it's like, even if she was to lose her job and then you saw that she wasn't pursuing to try to find another job after that, I could see where that would start like eating away at you. I'm in a different spot, obviously, because I've known Megan for fucking ever, and we've been together for so long. So if she just decided, hey, I'm going to quit tomorrow, which she's not allowed to, but if she did decide to, obviously I wouldn't just up and leave. I would just
no,
make it
that's what I
work
mean.
out.
Like, it would be over time. It'd be like a stressful thing. Like, I think it's like, for example, like how some marriages, like the mother wants to stay home with the kids. She's not working, obviously, but she's doing something that's arguably harder than going to work 9 to 5, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, that's pulling your weight more than even money's involved.
It would be a lot more like we're saying you got a find a way to define your happiness or find the experience. You'd have to find a way to justify that type of the relationship. Just okay, you're not working, but you're doing this, and that still keeps me at that happiness level. Okay, so back to if you were to have a kid, and for one, the chick that sold herself, that's crazy. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know it was
how
allowed.
is that not prostitution?
I think it was the state that she did it in had different rules.
But that's crazy. So that's the thing. Like, how is prostitution illegal then if that's allowed?
For one, I'm a firm believer in prostitution shouldn't be illegal. I think it should be legal and it should be taxable.
I do too. I do. I think it should be regulated. I think there'd be a lot less diseases.
For sure.
And I also think that it'd be safer for the girls.
Oh, Megan, you gave me a weird look. Get up here.
And prostitution is something that is a transaction between two consenting adults if it's done right.
Are we all
a transaction of goods?
Yeah.
Transaction
Services
of
and goods. I mean, what else is it?
Yeah.
Megan's totally against this, and I want her opinion so freaking bad.
Yeah.
But whatever, she's not going to give it to us. Maybe next podcast. But I agree. I think the whole prostitution thing, I mean, they know what they're getting into. They're doing it for the money. The people on the other side know what they're getting into. They want it for the service. What's wrong with that? It's no different than going to like a strip club.
And it's capitalism, am I right?
And this is besides, moral. We're not looking at the moral aspect of anything. We're just looking at this as a business transaction because that's essentially what it is.
Well, I mean,
goods and services.
Morals, I mean, if you're in a relationship and you're trying to find a prostitute, morally wrong. But if you're single and you just want to try to get some and there's a chick wanting to give it to you for money,
or vice versa, I mean, there could be
exactly. I don't know. I'm very for it.
Yeah,
I know
that's
there's
crazy because like a strip club is
very similar.
There's a lot of stuff going on in there that I'm sure is. I mean, I don't know. I don't have firsthand experience, but I'm sure there's a lot that goes on in there that's, similar to what happens in prostitution.
I would imagine so. The prostituting thing. The reason why it's illegal is because there's the human trafficking and stuff like that, and not all people are the correct age.
But I think our argument
it's regulated though.
Yeah, if it's regulated, then it's a lot safer.
And then you keep the ones off the street, and maybe they have a spot they can go and what are those houses called?
Brothels.
But they have specific ones in certain areas. They're called
cat houses.
Cat house. Yeah, kind of like cat
in
houses.
Vegas. Vegas has them, I think.
Bunny ranches.
Nevada? Yeah. There you go.
Not
like
that
where
I've
Lamar
ever been
Odom
or
ended
know,
up. That ended up well, huh?
Yeah.
Need to rethink this.
Yeah. Anyways, besides the point.
Are they happy? Is that what we're asking? Are those people happy?
Damn, we talk about trying to buy happiness. I mean, if you're willing to give up your virginity for money because you think it's going to make you
got some
happy
issues.
Yeah, that's tough.
Well, how old was she when this happened?
I think she was 18.
Yeah,
turned 18. Wanted to sell her virginity.
Well, she set herself up though.
Yeah, her prefrontal cortex is like not even fully developed yet. So,
well, how unfair is that? Girls have that just in that backup of like, hey, I'm having a rough time. Hey,
I'm hot.
Wow, I'm pretty sure guys could do the same thing.
Could they though? No girl would pay millions for a guy's virginity.
We were just talking about freaking the cougar or whatever that would pay for a guy, a 90-year-old woman.
I guess.
I mean, we're being kind of sexist here.
But I don't even think it's even close. I think guys are willing to pay a lot more.
Yeah, the payoff would be completely different. I think a guy would go for like $1,000
because guys
and a girl would go for.
Yeah,
obviously.
And it's not even have to do with worth. Google it. It's not even worth. It's just like straight up, like guys are willing to pay more for that exact service.
Definitely. Megan, could you look that up? The girl that sold her virginity online, see how much she sold for? I'm very curious. I know it was I
saw that news article. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And she's not the only one.
I don't even think she was from the US. I think she was from Europe.
Yeah.
I honestly think she was like from Germany or Spain or something. I think it was overseas.
Would you, if it was your child, would you be like, no way, God, definitely not?
Well, if they're 18, I mean, they can.
No. Hell no.
Yeah, no.
I'll be like, I have a very particular set of skills.
Yeah, there's no way, man. No amount of money is worth selling yourself like that, I don't think.
No.
But it's their choice, though.
God, I know, right? 780,000? Man, I was way off.
That's way low. I was not.
Way lower than I expected.
I was way off.
Clearly, our facts are not.
Well, we know Noel's.
Do not fact check us.
Yeah, don't fact check us. Really? That's it?
Yeah. Oh, that's it? That's a lot for one night.
Dude, I'm just saying I'd hold out for more.
Jeez.
As an 18-year-old girl.
That is a lot of money. That's crazy.
For one night of work.
One night of work. This is the same kind of conversation. Yeah, whatever. You're right.
We did end up getting into gold diggers on this.
Oh, hold on.
There was something
and
that initially started at $10 and
Boom. That's what I'm talking about.
And then it was shut down?
For everyone that couldn't hear
Some
Megan
hater.
muffled in the corner, she was saying that there was a bid that started at $10 for a lady's virginity and built up to, you said 10 million? $10 million for your virginity.
Oh.
That's insane. That's one night, like Trevor was saying.
Oh, gosh.
Not to any of our listeners saying that that's a good business venture, but what?
It's just mind-blowing that there are people that will do this.
I'm sorry, Megan, one more?
That was in 1999.
That was in 1999?
That wasn't the most recent girl. That one got me.
The fact that they're even thinking about it back then, that's crazy.
Oh, it just, oh my goodness.
And $10 million was a lot more back then.
That's like AOL. That's like...
Dial up. How would you even transfer that kind of funds?
Yeah.
That's
what if you're paying that much money and the picture's still loading and you're like, oh crap, the auction's gonna end and I haven't even seen her yet. What
That's
if she's
the other thing.
what she says she is?
I mean, we're so off topic, but it all comes down to money and happiness. I mean,
You can always bring it back. Would that guy be happy?
Would he?
God. Do you think he instantly regrets it?
Instant
after?
regret.
He's just like, ah.
That's that
Why?
instant gratification, but then right afterwards, you're just like, oh.
And like we were saying, that is that type of guy that has stupid amount of money that just doesn't know what to do with it. And is he really happy? Probably not, because he's looking for the internet to try to buy something.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like these people that are just balling out of control, that are just having all this money. Like Johnny, I heard this thing where Johnny Depp has like $2 million a month expenses. I mean, how do you blow through that kind of money? It's insane to me.
Well, there's probably,
but it's just that lifestyle.
They're at that tax bracket too, where it's like if they don't spend a certain amount of money, they're gonna get screwed either way. So it's like, all right, well, buy another elephant.
Yeah, buy another castle.
Yeah, shit, man.
I need at least 17 more bracelets. I mean,
Yeah, that's why
That was a
has so
shot.
many.
He took a shot at him. That's rude.
well, if he can threaten the president, I can threaten him a little bit, right?
That is
Good
true.
Point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're at a consensus that money doesn't buy you happiness. Did I win?
I know. I still think money buys you happiness, but at a certain level.
It's not a definite 100% money can buy you happiness. I'd say it's
guys
close.
just told me-
I think
let
it's
me have my
closer to
moment.
50-50.
Let me have my moment.
It can
Let
go
him be
ei-
happy. Obviously, money is not working for him, so let's just let him.
That's all for today's episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast on SoundCloud or iTunes to get all updates on future content. And just remember, it's not important who's right or wrong, but it's always important to ask why.